Jewish noises!
Pains in the stomach belonged to the symptom complex of my patient, but they were not very prominent. She complained rather of qualms and a feeling of nausea. Hold on. Lost my spot again. Pains in the neck and abdomen and constriction of the throat played hardly in any part in her case. I wonder why I have decided upon this choice of symptoms in the dream. For the moment, I cannot discover the reason. She looks pale and puffy. My patient had always a rosy complexion. I suspect that here another person is being substituted for her. I am startled at the idea that I may have overlooked some organic affection. Hold on a second. Have I gone backwards or something? No, I guess he's just saying that. I was just saying the organic affection thing again, so. Organic affection. Affectione. This, as the reader will readily believe, is a constant fear with the specialist who sees neurotics almost exclusively. Did you hear they're making a Happy Gilmore too? I did not hear that. It's probably going to suck. And who is accustomed to ascribe to hysteria so many manifestations. Where you look like fucking like a Fabio type or something right now. Which other physicians treat as organic. On the other hand, I am haunted by a faint doubt. I do not know whence it comes, whether my alarm is altogether honest. If Irma's pains are indeed of organic origin, it is not my duty to cure them. My treatment, of course, removes only hysterical pains. It seems to me, in fact, that I wish to find an error in the diagnosis. Then I could not be reproached with failure to effect a cure. I take her to the window in order to look into her throat. Yeah, you read this already, didn't you?
Yeah.
Were
you rereading the same paragraph?
Apparently I have been for like the whole time since I took over.
That's pretty cool.
I thought I gave you off right here.
Yes, and this is all, so you were on this page, not this page, which is probably why I thought it started with some French shit.
Doesn't make sense.
I'm already this fucking far. Anyway, she resists a little, then like a woman who has false teeth. I think to myself, she does not need them. I had never an occasion to inspect Irma's oral cavity. The incident in the dream reminds me of an examination made some time before in the governess who first produced an impression of a youthful beauty. Unless he just says very, very similar things. But who, upon opening her mouth, took certain measures to conceal her denture. Other memories of medical examinations, maybe it is
this
kind
is
of...
the part where he's analyzing.
Okay.
He's talking about the thing.
I know. Threw me off. Other memories of medical examinations and of petty secrets revealed by them, to embarrassment of both the physician and the patient, associate themselves with the case. She surely does not need them, is perhaps, in the first place, a compliment to Irma. But I suspect yet another meaning. In careful analysis, one is able to feel whether or not the amères pensées, which are to be expected to have all exchanged the way in which Irma stands at the window, suddenly reminds me of another experience. Irma has an intimate woman friend, of whom I think very highly. One evening, on paying her a visit, I found her at the window in position reproduced in the dream. And her physician, the same Dr. M, declared that she had a dipthermic membrane. The person of Dr. M and the membrane return, indeed, in the course of the dream. Now it occurs to me that during the past few months I have had every reason to suppose that the lady too is hysterical. Yes, Irma herself betrayed the fact to me. But what do I know of her condition? Only the one thing, that, like Irma in the dream, she suffers from hysterical choking. Thus, in the dream, I have replaced my patient by her friend. Now I remember that I have often played with this supposition that this lady, too, might ask me to relieve her of her symptoms. But even at this time, I thought that it might be improbable, since she is extremely reserved. She resists, as the dream shows, another explanation which might be that she does not need it. In fact, until now, she has shown herself strong enough to master her condition without outside help. Now only a few features remain, which I can assign neither to Irma nor to her friend. Pale, puffy, false teeth. The teeth led me to the governess. I now feel inclined to be satisfied with bad teeth. Here another person, to whom the features may allude, occurs to me that she is not my patient, and I do not wish her to be my patient, for I have noticed that she is not at her ease with me. Yeah, she doesn't like me, so I don't want to take her as a patient. Which, that makes sense. And I do not consider her a docile patient. He's like, yeah, she's a bitch and she doesn't like me.
Yeah.
She is generally pale, and once when she had not felt particularly well, she was puffy. I have thus compared my patient, Irma, with 2 others, who would likewise resist treatment. What is the meaning of the fact that I have exchanged her for a friend in the dream? Perhaps that I wish to exchange her, either her friend arouses in me stronger sympathies, or I have higher regard for her intelligence. For I consider Irma foolish because she does not accept my solution. The other woman would be more sensible, and would thus be more likely to yield. The mouth then opens readily. I have other uses for your throat that do not involve injury. That's a good Johnny Depp quote. She would tell me more than Irma. What I see in the throat, a white spot, a scabby turbinal bone. A scabby turbinal bones! The white spot recalls diphtheria, and thus Irma's friend. But it also recalls the grave illness of my eldest daughter 2 years earlier, and all anxiety that unhappy time. The scab of the turbinal bones reminds me of my anxiety concerning my own health. At the time, I frequently used cocaine. Wait, what?
At the time, I frequently used
In order to suppress distressing swellings in the nose. It's just going to make it swell more, isn't it?
Yeah, what the... Old science.
Right?
I prescribed the patient tons of cocaine.
Hold on, it's about to say that, like legitimately. Swellings of the nose, and I had heard a few days previously that a lady patient who did likewise had contracted an extensive necrosis of the nasal mucous membrane. In 1885, it was I who recommended the use of cocaine, and I have been gravely reproached in consequence. A dear friend, who had died before the date of this dream, had hastened his end by the misuse of this remedy. Yeah,
if
cocaine.
It works for Sherlock Holmes, it works for me.
Right. Hey, didn't they used to put that in Coca-Cola? Yes. I quickly called Dr. M, who repeats the examination, rather. This would simply correspond to the position which Dr. M occupied among us. Among us? But the word quickly is striking enough to demand a special examination. It reminds me of a sad medical experience. By continually prescribing a drug, sulfonal, which at the time was still considered harmless, I was once responsible for the condition of acute poisoning in the case of a woman patient. Jeez. And hastily turned for assistance to my older and more experienced colleague.
Sigmund Freud can do no wrong.
The fact that I had this case in mind confirmed by a subsidiary circumstance. The patient, who succumbed to the toxic effects of the drug, bore the same name of my eldest daughter. I had never thought of this until now. But now it seems to me like all you see is violence in movies and sex in TV. It seems to me that almost like a retribution of fate, as though the substitution of persons had to be continued in another sense. This Matilda for that Matilda, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. It is as though I was seeking every opportunity to reproach myself for a lack of medical conscientiousness. Dr. M is a pale and thin and shaven, and he limps. Of course, so much of this is correct, that his unhealthy appearance is often arouses the concern of his friends. The other 2 characteristics must belong to another person. An elder brother living abroad occurs to me, for he too shaves his chin, and if I remember him rightly, the M of the dream bears on the whole a certain avian variety. a certain resemblance to him. And some days, previously, the news arrives that he is limping on account of his arthritic affection of the hip. Thus, there must be some reason why I fuse the two persons into one in my dream. I remember that, in fact, I was on bad terms with both of them for similar reasons. Both had rejected a certain proposal which I had recently made them. My friend Otto, who is now standing next to the patient, and my friend Leopold examines... Oh, I see. So that's why I was not repeating. What it is the stuff that's italicized is he's revisiting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Standing next to the patient, and my friend Leopold examines her and calls attention to a dullness low down on her left side. My friend Leopold is also a physician, and a relative of Otto's, since the two practice the same specialty. Fate has made them competitors, so that they are constantly being compared to one another. Both of them assisted me for years, while I am still directing a public clinic for neurotic children. There, scenes like that, reproduced in my dream, had often taken place. While I would be discussing the diagnosis of a case with Otto, Leopold would examine the child anew and make an I don't know if I want Leopold examining children. Different Leopold. And make unexpected contribution towards our decision. There was a difference of character between the two men, like between Inspector Brasig and his friend Carl. Otto was remarkably prompt and alert. Leopold was slow and thoughtful, but thorough. If I contrast Otto and the cautious Leopold in the dream, I do so, apparently, in order to extol Leopold. The comparison is like that made above between the disobedient patient Irma and her friend, who was believed to be more sensible. I now become aware of one of the tracks along which the association of ideas in the dream proceeds. From the sick child to the children's clinic. Concerning the dullness low on the left side, I have the impression that it corresponds with a certain case of which all of the details were similar. A case which Leopold impressed me by his thoroughness.
How much is left for the chapter? Quite a bit, huh?
Let's see. 1, 2,
Buckle my
3,
shoe.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages. He's climbing your windows, trying to snatch your people up, trying to rape us. All you need to hide your kids, hide your wife. Okay, then,
What?
Ethan. That's okay, Ethan. He's talking about Leopold. Hey there, Blimpy boy, flying through the sky so fancy free.
Someone by the name of Rabid Waffles, who I actually know about because I did a video responding to one of their videos 2 years back, which we will explain later. They comment, Valerie Flowers is the best YouTuber. I'm his biggest fan. He really entertains me with his videos. What a guy.
Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original. Hilarious and original.